Alsler here, play-by-play for the Abby Canucks. You got it locked in the line chain, a Vancouver Canucks podcast.
The clock has struck 12. The trade deadline is now officially behind us. And for Vancouver Canucks fans, it was a whole lot of nothing when it mattered most. We were all waiting for the big UFA sell-off, but instead, we're left with more questions than answers. Today, we're breaking down General Manager Patrik Allvin's shocking admission that the market for Teddy Blueger and Evander Kane simply didn't exist. Now, Patrik Allvin addressed the media Friday afternoon after the deadline, and his comments about the trade market were, frankly, a bit surprising, or they were further proof that he has absolutely no idea what he is doing, depending on who you ask. Despite the expectation that the Canucks would move most of their pending unrestricted free agents, the big names stay put. Now, when asked about the lack of movement for Teddy Blueger and Evander Kane, Allvin called the market very unpredictable. But the kicker, he flat out said, "I didn't get any offers, so I was a little bit surprised." That is an exact quote from Patrik Allvin. When asked about the lack of movement for Teddy Blueger and Evander Kane, Allvin called the market, we already went over that, sorry. Now, the fact that he said, "I didn't get any offers, so I was a little bit surprised," I hear that, and I go, that is complete and utter BS. I'm not buying for 1 second that there were no offers for Teddy Blueger. Allvin saying that is his way of saying nobody came to him with offers, and he didn't go out and shop Blueger himself to other teams. He was expecting teams to come to him. And we touched on this during our post-game last night / early this morning, depending on what time you were watching it, and how you can't operate like that. You can't wait for teams to come to you. You need to shop these guys, especially when they're UFAs. It's not a case of just sitting by the phone. You can pick up the phone and call someone too. It works both ways. So I'm full on calling Allvin out on this, and I don't think he's being truthful whatsoever. He's lying to this fan base. Does he think we're stupid? Like, this guy's a dumbass. Apologies for the language, by the way. I'm just increasingly super frustrated with Allvin and his, word vomit. And the fact that he has the gall to go out there and say, we didn't get any offers. I heard something, I think it was maybe Thursday, something about Pittsburgh being interested in Blueger. What happened to that? Granted, I'm not surprised that Kane had no offers. I'm not one bit surprised about Kane whatsoever, and I could care less. This is more directed at the fact that Patrik Allvin is saying that Teddy Blueger had no offers. Again, I think that is complete BS, and I think he thinks he's fooling the fan base, but we can see right through him. Now, on that note, does this feel like deja vu to anyone? I mean, last season, it was kind of the same story with Brock Boeser and Pius Suter, although Allvin spun it, saying that the offers were so bad that he'd have to run out of the room, at least when it comes to Boeser. Now he's saying there weren't any offers. Now, the Canucks, clearly, there were offers, as I'm making it known now. There were offers. He's just lying through his teeth. The Canucks, and basically what he's saying, he says there's no offers, but in reality, Canucks didn't like those offers, which brings me back to last season, last year's deadline. The Canucks didn't like the offers then, kept both Boeser and Suter past the deadline, and we all saw how that played out. Suter ended up walking in free agency and signing with St. Louis. Granted, we ended up re-signing Boeser, but that was after the god-awful Evander Kane trade that we made, and it was a backup plan because the Canucks lost out on Christian Dvorak, who signed with the Flyers, and then they pivoted back to Boeser and re-signed him. Now, it's hard to wrap your head around. We saw Allvin turn David Kampf, a depth signing, into a 6th-round pick. We saw Connor Garland move to Columbus despite a massive scoring drought, yet a solid depth middle six center like Teddy Blueger, who is practically the definition of an ideal playoff rental, apparently generated zero interest. There's absolutely no way that is the case, although you could make the argument about Blueger being out for most of the season, and perhaps that might be why there were no offers. But at the same time, you sell him as a playoff rental. Sell him as a guy who has played in the playoffs, has won a Stanley Cup with Vegas, previously. Sell him as a great guy on the penalty kill. Guy can win faceoffs. Sell him on that. How did you not sell teams on that just alone? And teams would be lining up for him. Now, Allvin did point to the roster spots and cap space flexibility as factors, but it's a tough pill for fans to swallow when you're watching a last place franchise fail to extract value from its biggest expiring assets. So where do we go from here? For Evander Kane, the writing basically seems to be on the wall. At 34 years old, he will be turning 35. He's expected to test the market and leave in free agency this summer. I bet you anything Canuck fans are breathing a sigh of relief for that and are fully okay with Evander Kane walking for nothing because we just simply want him off this freaking team. But with Blueger, it's obviously a different story. Allvin mentioned that they've already started looking towards a contract extension. We heard whispers about that shortly after the deadline, and actually prior to the deadline as well. We heard, people were like wondering and kind of juggling, should the Canucks re-sign him, especially after Blueger basically called out the team and showed some very great leadership after a game. But the big question is, does Blueger want to stay? I know he did mention that he likes it here, and he's, of course, a very good character guy. We mentioned that post-game thing that he did. Or could he look for a fresh start with a contender? I mean, that is his right. He's earned it being a unrestricted free agent. I do think he wants to stay. But when it comes to an extension, it has to be at least a minimum 2 years. Minimum 2 years only is the max I'm giving it. That is the, actually not minimum, I should say that is the maximum I'm willing to give. 2 years. You can't go more than that. And it has to be a low cap hit too. If that's the case, sign me up for re-signing Blueger. I'm all for it. If it's a low cap hit and if it's max 2 years, I'm fine with it. If it's more than that, it's a no-go for me. You're losing him in for nothing. So we will see what goes on when it comes to a Blueger extension. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about Allvin's explanation? Are you buying that there were no offers for a guy like Blueger? Or did the Canucks simply hold out for a price that nobody was willing to pay? Were they overvaluing Blueger and his contract when it comes to trading him away? Were they doing what they do best, overvaluing their assets? And was Allvin just sitting by the phone waiting for teams to come to him when he should have been the one pounding the pavement and calling teams himself, putting a rocket ship up Blueger's butt and trying to sell teams on the type of player that Teddy Blueger is? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. I want to know if you think keeping these guys was the right move or if we just simply bled value once again. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the line change. Be sure to have your notifications turned on so you don't miss more in-depth analysis of your Vancouver Canucks. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois, 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario, restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which will expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright 2026 NHL, all rights reserved. Looking at the DraftKings NHL betting odds and the lines, we've got the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Buffalo Sabres. The Tampa Bay Lightning are at a minus 1.5, and then the Buffalo Sabres are at a plus 1.5 and a minus 265. The Lightning, as I mentioned, a minus 1.5 at plus 215 and a minus 115 on the money line, while the Sabres are a minus 105 on the money line. You have the Red Wings and the Devils. Red Wings are a plus 1.5 at minus 270 and a minus 110 on the money line, while the Devils are a minus 1.5 at a plus 220 and a minus 110 on the money line as well. You've got the Blues and the Ducks. The Blues, a plus 1.5 at minus 175 and a plus 145 on the money line. And then you have the Ducks, minus 1.5 at a plus 145 and a minus 175 on the money line. And lastly, you have the Oilers at a plus 1.5 and at a minus 265 and a minus 105 on the money line. Then the Golden Knights minus 1.5 on a plus and a plus 215 and then a minus 115 on the money line. Just a reminder that these odds are subject to change, so please keep that in mind and please play responsibly. This video has been a presentation of both DraftKings Sportsbook as well as the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast covering your favorite team at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, where it's every team, everywhere. Once again, drop your comments down below. Do you guys agree with me that Allvin is lying through his teeth and has absolutely no idea what he's doing? Do you also agree that, he thinks us fans are fools? He thinks we're not smart. We know what he's doing. And do you guys think that Patrik Allvin is lying to this fan base about the offers and the fact that, there were 0 offers for Teddy Blueger? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on the next line change.